Any other horror stories like some like man machines is like and like
Yeah, my machine break
All
while I was tattooing.
All of the self-made tattoo machines broke at least once in every
I'm
tattoo.
tattooing a fucking machine.
but
with the machine
yours
and
was
suddenly-
machine right?
Yeah,
The first time I actually tattooed someone who was not my friend, machine broke in the middle of tattoo.
Yeah, me too.
I had to
Hey, dude,
rebuild it.
What was it? What is the
And
name
while I
in
was
English?
redoing it, the guy was just like cooking eggs and making.
Dude, I had this
Armature bar.
break
Just breaking it out.
while I was tattooing, and the dude fucking freaked out. The needle was like bloop, jumped out. And the other time I was with my dad's house. Fucking I'm tattooing a girl from Magones.
Yeah.
She has one of my first tattoos I made, and they turn out fucking good. Like they still fucking there and black and all good. It's from Beatles, the album cover where they're crossing the street, the silhouettes, and they worked out good. But dude, like I was tattooing.
That's advanced design.
I was tattooing that. Well, it's just silhouette, black. But I fill it up. First of all, this place I was lucky. It was easy to tattoo. I've been tattooing before, few tattoos, but then I stopped, and when I started again, I tattooed her, and something's not working suddenly in the middle of session, and I'm like sweating, like going crazy. I didn't have good lights because it was my sister's old bedroom. It was terrible. And I call my dad upstairs. My dad comes, checks out the cables and shit. Like he's an engineer and shit. He's like, oh, something's wrong. Let me check the cables. He cuts them to half, splits them, fucking brings that fucking pistol where you can fucking
solder.
Yeah. He like fucking makes the shit cable work together, and fuck it started working again.
With that fucking homemade shit, we were like. None of us were good with soldering, so instead of soldering, we just taped the needle to it and then burned it and like kind of pressed it a bit harder.
And then the usual problem was to make the needle to hold on to that stick, which was made just like from like what?
Just the what? Like
just the wire.
Bar,
Yeah. And sometimes it was too thick, sometimes too thin. Then it doesn't go to that stuff, and it's too heavy. And sometimes you do everything great, and then the needle goes like inside too much, so then because of the
rotary.
rotary. And that was a lot of things that can go wrong.
So stressful.
Yeah.
I remember I was sweating like crazy. Like the client could tell. Not the client, just friends. They could tell something's wrong because suddenly I'm raining, and
like also a thing I heard from many tattooists, I never ran into that problem because I guess I've been reasonable and knew what I've been careful, but people say when they start they often take projects too big. And they tattooing and they're like, fuck, this is gonna take forever, or they're making a tribal, like coloring it in like fucking 5-liner, and it like they're like yeah it's 3 hours, and then 9 hours later they're like, will I ever finish this piece?
Man,
back when I started tattooing, I told this probably like 100 times anyway, like the thing was that I wasn't thinking about tattooing as I am now, like back then, like there was no such thing as like I know how much it's gonna take, I know how long it's gonna be, all that stuff. It's like, we're just gonna do it, and that's it, There was no money involved, nothing. It was just like pure adventure, and that was the thing of it.
But that's the friendly part, because when you have customers, they want to know at least the price.
Kind of, yeah, but I mean, it all comes to the communication. That you meet them for the first time and you honestly say that you're like bad at this, and you don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, like that's the easiest way out of any trouble.
When you have like good friends, then but when you hustle like a fucking motherfucker.
Yeah, but that's the thing, being bad and understanding it and not hiding it. It's the right way.
And maybe it's also like when you're not doing for the money, because
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're like, you know, whatever.
No, dude, like I can tell you from my experience when I tattooed at home in England, I did some tattoos that they look good, and even now I look back and I saw the tattoo I made, I was like, fuck, it's actually nice, the shading, everything, and then some parts, some tattoos, when someone asked me a design to do, I remember I was looking at the design and I was thinking like how I would draw, and I was like, I can draw this, so I can tattoo this. And that's why I was like really confident with it. I remember I had to do this weird dragon from some book as well, and I was like, dude, I could draw this easily. And I started tattooing, and it took me also like fucking all day, and I was sweating there. And after that, when I failed, I started thinking like, fuck, this is actually much harder than I think it is. And then I started realize that I suck. Before, I did few tattoos on a really thin skin where I, not really, but like thighs, for example. It worked out great, but then I got to some shoulder where I was just, panicking.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, because like back then you were just like tattooing and you never know how it's gonna go.
You never
Every
know.
time, like now, I mean, after all these years when you're tattooing, you can quite precisely say how much time it's gonna take, how it's gonna look, what you're gonna do. Back then it's like, okay, this is like the set of my experience. These are the things I know. I'll put them on this job and we'll see how it goes. But every time it changes, you know, because you don't know a lot of stuff. So
Like,
every tattoo experience was completely different for many years, you know, because you don't really understand what you're doing, and every tattoo was just like a journey into something unknown, because you don't know how it's gonna be, you know. As you said, you're tattooing someone's leg, it's like perfect.
Yeah,
You look at it and you look at the magazine, it's like, fuck man, this is the same.
Yeah.
And the next day you're tattooing another guy and you're thinking, this is gonna be so easy.
Yeah,
And you're tattooing it's complete opposite nightmare. And then you're just like, okay, you know, this is
There
this
we
is
go.
now
it's the same with like a small name or like, you know, Roman numerals or something, and people are like, I want it here, and you're like, oh, chill, and then they're like, I want it here, and you're like,
Yeah,
it's like,
dude, when I did my first stomach, man. Oh my God.
your,
still-
your eyeballs go
still
into
when
the
I
next.
even nowadays when I do stomachs, it's the same feeling, like fuck.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's important not to lose that thing, because you approach these tattoos differently.
It's like I had a customer today, and I remember that there was Roman numerals and fuckloads of text, and then it's like ribs and thigh. And I'm like, which one is going where? And she's like, Roman numerals there, text here. This is all right. Because if she would say other way around, I'd be like, oh man, like I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, fuck. It's
But
actually
also
a good,
like experience in that way, like again, like a dude who's like, he's a good tattooist, and he's also like self-aware and self-critical, and he said like his first experiences was like the tattoos he made and he's super proud of, and then he posts on some forums and people like, you shouldn't do that, and he's like, oh fuck. And what
exactly.
comes not even in a technical aspect of tattooing, but like handling customers and stuff. The guy said he was tattooing somebody at home, like I just remembered, the story is linked. He was tattooing somebody at home, and the customer fainted. And it was his first time when somebody fainted, and he freaked the fuck out. And he had somebody who knew a bit more about tattoos, and he called, and he said at that point he was thinking what to do with the body, because like customer fainted on the floor, rolled under the bed or something, and he was like, that's it. She's dead.
Holy
Like,
Spirit.
Yeah, like that's it. He was calling, he's like, oh yeah, chill, goes out like, oh my god. Turned out fine, but like,
Yeah, no. one
again,
talks
without experience, without like mentorship, without experience that before, it's a fucking freaking experience. You're like, oh my god, I killed a person.
Yeah, there's so many actually. There's so many things in tattooing that you have to learn during the years.
Also, when you like,
That it's actually sometimes you even forget to tell if you have apprentice, for example. Like there is like you have to experience on your own skin to
Yeah.
figure out what's what.
somebody can freak out. Somebody like we had a customer in one shop. She was freaking out because she was lying down flat, and the tattooist wasn't like getting it. Like, what's your problem? And I gave her like I wrapped a paper towel in a plastic and put under, and she's like, "I'm cool now." It's like, there's just some people freaking out, and you're like, whatever.
It's crazy. That's why I think that for me, how I see it, I don't see any chance for people who learn at home to learn properly tattooing. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean,
and if you send a picture and you think you're good, it's probably not true. I really believe in that. I think there is so much to learn that you have to find someone who teaches you,
and even
who knows something.
even in that, like, not even being like under somebody learning, but being in that environment and sharing.
Go to shops.
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff.
the thing that like you're tattooing at home or whatever. You think, okay, I'm completely ready for the shop thing, and then you start working in a shop, and it's like you open another door to another learning level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like when you're tattooing at home and like
There's
it's friends of
yeah,
your
yeah,
friends.
there's just there's a maximum level, like a specific level that you can actually reach by tattooing at home. Like,
Yeah.
where you kind of learn and are capable of doing everything that's possible to the best of your capabilities while tattooing at home. But when you work in a shop, it's a different environment. There's way more different aspects of tattooing that you have to start from zero.
And often, like when you're at home, like you've been recommended by a friend,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they fully trust you. They're like, okay, I like this guy. I like this guy's tattoos, and that's why I come to you. And when you work in a shop, sometimes people come in and they're like, I want this, and they're like, oh, but I do it like that, and they're like,
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, of course it depends on like the shop owners and the shop rules and like the politics of the shop, but I mean, like, the easiest way how to not run into any troubles or horror stories or anything, even when you start working at the shop, like, to know your level, like, know the possibilities you can actually do. I mean, like, when there's someone asking you to do some work that's like you understand that it's like different level, like it's not in your comfort zone. It's the most important thing to understand it and like honestly say that you're not capable of doing it. Talk it over with the shop owner, talk it all this stuff, that like you don't want to ruin the reputation of the shop, you don't want to like put any bad name on it, you just have to know what you can do, and that's it.
yeah, and like again, it comes to that experience where like you have to know what you know, and
Yeah.
and sometimes like there should be somebody who can tell you, like, cause like tattooing a name here and over
Yeah.
an ankle, it's a fucking different
I
story.
mean, like when you're thrown in the water like that, you're gonna learn super fast, but you gonna have like some horror stories for sure,
and some gray hairs.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. You can
Or
you
gonna
can do
sing.
that way, or you can do it like the easy way,
I think
Fine.
somebody back many videos commented that they had like a thing that they just started in a shop, just like a apprentice or like a junior tattooist or something, and the boss man was just like, let's kill all the money, and the person was doing like small stuff, some traditionals and so on, and they're like, you'll do portraits now, and they're like, fuck no. And I'm like,
Fuck,
no, you are
imagine.
here, you have to do it.
How many shops has this? Like how many shops
It's
have
crazy.
really bad way of teaching? Like we know a guy now that had some crazy experience. Like,
Dude, I know
just to go to the shop and get apprenticeship doesn't mean it's a good
Yeah, it
way to
doesn't
do
say.
it. Yeah.
I talked to a girl back in my country. She was working as a tattooist, but she's like just starting and being like respectful and respecting the boss and whatnot. And the boss was like, "Oh, you'll do piercings as well?" And she's like, I'm not into that. Like, whatever, just poke a hole." And she said she was like crying because it was like way out of her comfort zone.
I
but
couldn't do it anyway.
But that's her work, and she want to work there, and it's
And,
fucking terrible.
Yeah, but
it's crazy, like
It's
people
like-
get forced into doing shit.
Yeah, I mean, some people will do it just because they wanna.
No, she
fucking
said
stay
she
there.
did it, but she was fucking devastated. She was crying and whatnot.
Yeah, shit, it's terrible. Now when tattooing is so popular, there's much more places where you shouldn't go and get your apprenticeship. And
So-
people
so-
love to welcome you, especially those who don't have anything to do there.
So what would be the best way to avoid that shit?
There's so many ways.
Now, I think like obviously if you get a good mentor, good apprenticeship, you're blessed.
It starts from doing a proper research.
Yeah,
you know?
because like
it
just
starts from a proper research, and it starts from
self-criticism.
self-criticism and attitude.
Yeah.
Because like just getting apprenticeship, like I work with people who had apprenticeships and they shit, and they're like,
I mean, like, if you're gonna go to any shop and ask for apprenticeship, and you're gonna act like this super fucking
God's gift.
yeah, then you're gonna have like a hard time for sure.
Yeah, but like I mean, there's also shops who would take anyone in, and they don't want to teach you good tattooing. They want to make money. They need apprentice just to knock out them cheap tattoos. They're like, oh, you can't afford like 50 something. We have an apprentice who will do it for 20 something. You know, and yeah, that's what you say. You need to do good research so you are in a good place. Like,
And
you
if
know.
you're, for example, I think if you're tattooing at home, don't get stuck there. You know, some people get used to it, and they get used to that good environment they have, and they build that shit. They build that shitty quality around them, and they start to think that that's how it is. You know, and I think you just have
What
to
are you
step
complaining? It's cheap, man.
out. Yeah, also, but I remember one girl who had problems with self-criticism so bad. Like there was one
One
customer.
person. We don't call.
Oh,
call.
shit.
We go on
And
call.
there was a customer who came to the shop, and she showed the tattooer. It's too late. Anyway.
Tattooing person.
The person with boobies. The tattooer basically showed the design that she prepared for the customer.
Person.
Whatever, she should know.
It
And
should-
and the customer's like, oh, I don't like the design. I don't like something about it. Like, can you maybe do something else? Whatever. I can't remember the details, but I remember that the tattooer started to cry and ran home, and left the fucking customer with the manager alone. And they were like, oh, what is that all about? It's like, I don't know.
And the
You know?
manager's
It's
like,
like,
I can.
if
do
you
it."
can't deal with this shit, you know, there will be a lot of people come to the shop and they want to change something, you know.
Yeah, and I'll
And
put,
that's like a
I'll put
normal
a
thing.
video here. That dude who had that fucking guy who shit out a fucking ball from his ass.
I don't
you
know
know,
what
like
you're
it's not a.
But still, he finished the tattoo.
Yeah, he did it.
What are you talking about?
It's
Oh, you don't know.
I heard today something, but not much.
you watch the video.
You watched the video.
So
What do you
basically,
mean shit the ball?
like there's some hardcore situations, and some people like that dude was fucking like, how can you handle that shit?
If you can
like,
handle that shit,
that shit.
literal.
Like, you know, it's not like everyone will come in and like,
You're talented.
let me, let's massage this. Sometimes people are like, no, I want this.
No, but
here.
there is a lot of, you know, tattooers feel a lot of like this beautiful words from other friends, you know, oh, you're a tattooer, and
Here's
you
my
can
money.
feel, yeah, you can feel this this vibe that everyone looks at you like you're some kind of rock star almost, and then you kind of start to feed from it, and then you start to fucking act like a dickhead, you know. It's a true story, right? Not for everyone, but that shit happens for people who want attention. They start working in tattoo
I mean,
shop.
for some people, it's just a way of doing things. They're
Yeah.
like, this is my shit. They
No, but you can get addictive and start to fucking just use that shit.
Yeah, so let's wrap this one up.
Let's wrap up.
Yeah, I think, so what's our recommendations to avoid all the horror stories and bad fucking things?
Blood is
So-
beautiful.
Communicate. Don't hide
Communicate.
your incapabilities.
Yeah, be self-aware, be humble,
Self-criticism.
self-criticism, learn. Just because you got an apprenticeship, it doesn't mean it's a good one. Because I think, like, with a certain amount of brain cell and self-criticism, you can be good without apprenticeship, but you would still need a proper consultation and good, like, mentorship. But it's rare. It's rare that people are like, oh man, like, it's often this, like, oh,
And
look
also
at my...
with an art background, not always it helps too. It's like you still have to.
It
Just
might-
because you have to.
It's
if
good,
just
but it
because
might
you know-
backfire.
Yeah, of course it's better than not knowing how to draw, but still, like.
Tattooing is tattooing. Art is art.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's
There is a line. There is a line. Even if the line is just technical, there's a difference.
yeah. When customer comes and says you shit, don't run away.
Just fight them.
Just bring out your fucking MacBook, or what do you call it? And then you're like, oh, you want changes? That's how I do it these days.
I do it with the paper. And people are like, okay, no, I'm just gonna get it. It's okay.
I remember when I saw one of the first things I saw about tattooers using the, what is that fucking thing called? iPad. And customer comes in, is like, oh, ko, papīrs vairs neizmantosim. And it was so funny. It was like,
So
yeah,
you
it's look.
You didn't draw it?
You can see the history how I draw this. Look. So buy that shit if you want fast learning.
Would you like to zoom in the Carlos?
Yeah.
So what I said, I'll cancel.
By the way, there was a little bit of Latvian, so suck on this, little cunt.
That's also Latvian. It means subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and subscribe.
Share.
Sure.
Push the finger tongue.
This is how you talk.